Hello, thank you so much for registering for the Therapy Foundation's workshop tonight. Today's topic will be mindfulness and meditation adapted for neurodivergent minds. I'll be presenting this to you. My name's Amy Adams. I'm a late diagnosed ADHDer and registered counsellor. I'm the founder of Finding Autism Counselling and Therapy, where I provide therapy and counselling services to autistic individuals and those with autism and ADHD across the lifespan. So if you want to find out a little bit more about me and what I do, you can visit my website, www.findingautism.com.au. So just to start, just some disclaimers / things that might be good to know. These group workshop sessions are not an appropriate substitute for one-to-one therapy. Instead, they're designed to provide some self-help tools that can complement a tailored therapy program. The strategies provided here are not adapted to suit each individual's unique needs, but rather they're based off the best available research and some lived experience perspectives from neurodivergent communities. If at any time any of the workshop activities don't feel right to you, please feel free to take a step back, disengage, and re-engage when you're ready. If you would like to remain anonymous during your participation, you can keep your camera off and also edit your name on Zoom. There will be a Q&A / interactive portion of this presentation at the end that will not be recorded, just to ensure everyone's privacy. Okay, we'll start with what the difference is between mindfulness and meditation, because often these terms are used interchangeably. So mindfulness, the definition of this is to be fully present in the moment where we attend to thoughts, feelings, and sensations with a non-judgmental awareness. Mindfulness can also be applied beyond thoughts, feelings, and sensations to isolated experiences, objects, or sensations. So for example, being mindful with a pet or when using a stim tool. In terms of the applications, mindfulness can be practiced anytime during daily activities of your choice by bringing the mindful awareness to whatever it is that you're doing. And the goal is usually to enhance awareness of the here and now, to reduce stress, and perhaps to improve emotional regulation. What about meditation? So meditation is a bit more of a formal practice that typically involves focused attention, breathing exercises, visualization, and or maybe chanting mantras or affirmations. There are certainly lots of various methods for meditation. So there's mindfulness meditation, loving kindness meditation, transcendental meditation, affirmations, and more. So meditation comes in lots of different shapes and sizes. And the goal is ultimately to promote relaxation, mental clarity, and spiritual growth, and to achieve a mentally clear and emotionally calm state of mind. So in summary, mindfulness can be practiced throughout the day, whilst meditation typically involves setting aside a specific time for a focused, uninterrupted practice. Mindfulness is a quality of awareness, whereas meditation is a more structured practice that can help to cultivate mindfulness. So what are the evidence-based benefits of these practices for our well-being? And I've grouped together both mindfulness and meditation here just to keep it concise. So the general well-being benefits that are in the literature are that reduction in stress, anxiety, depression, and even chronic pain. Improvements in emotion regulation by encouraging a non-judgmental awareness of emotions. And for some people, this can help to reduce the intensity of those emotions. And it can also help to enhance focus and attention. Specifically for ADHDs, it can help to improve attention, improve cognitive flexibility, help with self-regulation, self-awareness, and this sense of self-efficacy, so having control over one's own behaviors, and can also help to cultivate a sense of calmness. And for autistic individuals, these practices can help to build emotional well-being, help to improve anxiety, and enhance connection or relationship building. They can also help with better self-awareness and reduce stress as well. So how can we make these practices more accessible to autistic and ADHD minds and bodies? And this is a really important thing to consider because a lot of conventional mindfulness and meditation practices aren't super accessible to us. Often there's this directive to sit still, to sit still or lie down and just focus on your breath. And that's something that can be quite understimulating and difficult to hold focus with. And for some of us, staying still actually can be dysregulating. So we need to move our bodies and actually engage in the practice in potentially a different way, depending on what your preferences are. So some things to consider would be sensory considerations. So how can you create a calm, distraction-free space that's soothing to your senses whilst you practice mindfulness or meditation? Allowing flexibility in posture and movement. So how can we adapt the practice to make sure that you're comfortable, whether that's sitting, standing, lying down, or actually encouraging you to move around? Maybe keeping the session short. So start with brief sessions and gradually extend them. Getting some sort of community or interpersonal support. So you can join a group or find an accountability partner that can provide motivation and support and who can actually do the meditation process with you if that's helpful. Using a variety of anchors. So what an anchor means is what is it within the meditation practice or the mindfulness practice that's anchoring your focus. So usually it's breath, where you anchor your focus and focus on your breathing. But I would encourage neurodivergent individuals to not limit themselves to anchoring with breath alone. You can look at exploring auditory or visual anchors like different sounds, music, tactile input, which is like touch, things that you can touch, or visual input. Personalize your practice. So find anchors that are stimulating and enjoyable for you, because that's going to make the whole process a lot more rewarding and then encourage you to do that more in the future. And lastly, be patient and kind to yourself. It's normal for your mind to wander during meditation. So if it does, just gently redirect your attention back to your chosen anchor or anchors if there's more than one, and be patient and compassionate with yourself. Okay, so what we're going to do here is a short self-reflection activity where you can come up with your own personalized meditation and mindfulness guide. So there are 3 questions here, which I'd like you to think about in coming up with your personalized guide. Feel free if you want to grab a notebook and write them down, or you can write them down on your phone or laptop, or just consider them if you don't feel like writing anything down right now. But the first question, what are 3 things you can invite or remove to create a sensory soothing environment for meditation? And I've got some examples there. So for example, turn off the TV, put some calming music on, dim the lights, or maybe it might be place a weighted blanket on your lap, put headphones on, light some candles, so on and so forth. So you're thinking about 3 things to invite or remove to soothe your senses. The second thing to reflect on is what are your movement preferences during a meditation or mindfulness practice? For example, it might be to sway side to side, to sit on a rocking chair, to use stim toys, to fidget freely, so on and so forth. And the last thing to consider are what are 2 anchors for your focus that you can try for your next practice or practices. You don't have to try both at once, or you can if you want, but just come up with 2 anchors that you can try out over your next few tries at meditation and mindfulness. So an anchor might be mindfulness with pets. So using your pets to anchor your attention, that can be patting them, watching them, just noticing the feelings that arise when you're with your pets. Drawing can be a really good anchor because it combines movement, so moving your hands with also that visual input and that creative expression as well. Breath obviously is like a common anchor that we come back to. Stim tools can also be a really good anchor for your practice. So being mindful with the sensations of different stim tools, and music as well. So I'll give you all a little bit of time just to reflect on these 3 questions, and feel free to, as I said, write those things down. And then we will move on to the next part of the presentation. And if you're watching this as a recording, feel free to pause and then come back when you're ready. Okay, lastly, what are some practical tips for engaging in meditation and mindfulness in your daily life? How can we make it easier, for example? So maybe if it works for you, if you like routines, maintaining a consistent practice and setting a routine might be helpful. But if you find routines restrictive and too demanding, that's fine as well. Then you can do without. But if routines generally work for you, then setting a routine can be helpful. If something doesn't work for you after a few tries, it's okay to tweak your practice. So maybe change the duration, change up the anchor, change up the sensory environment that you're in. You can adapt your posture and movement, so on and so forth, until it feels a bit more comfortable and a bit more relaxing, and until it feels like it's bringing those benefits that meditation and mindfulness are meant to bring. And just a reminder that meditation and mindfulness is really hard. It might feel unnatural and like your mind just wants to wander in spite of what you do. So remind yourself that this is normal, particularly for those of us with really busy minds. It's a skill that takes practice and time to cultivate. And in terms of how to actually access meditations, apps like Headspace, Calm, and Insight Timer often have a lot of guided meditations on them. You have to pay for some of those apps. So if you want something that's free, then YouTube also has a lot as well. Most of these meditations will instruct you to sit or lie down for the duration of the practice as they're sort of setting you up. And the most common anchor that you'll come across will be focusing in on your breath. Feel free, if you want to ignore that advice. You can fidget, stim, move if that's better for your focus. And if anchoring with just the breath is understimulating, feel free to combine that with some of the other anchors that we've thought about today. Okay, so let's practice. We'll go first through a guided mindfulness activity and then a guided meditation. So I just want to credit Sonny Jane and her Neurodivergent Friendly Workbook of DBT skills for these two mindfulness activities. That's a fantastic resource for anyone who's interested and who wants a little bit more content on different emotion regulation skills, including mindfulness. So you have two choices here. Option one is, for the next few minutes, choose to mindfully listen to music. So tuning out into ourselves and sitting in silence can be uncomfortable or even triggering for some of us. Mindfully listening to music can be an effective way to direct your attention from your internal experience to something outside of yourself. So if you choose to mindfully listen to music for the next few minutes, pay attention to what you're hearing. Listen to the layers of the music, the complexities, and the sounds of each instrument. So for this one here, there will be an opportunity once I explain option two for you to engage in that, and I'll come back to exactly how you might go about that in a moment. So option two would be to find two objects that are similar. So maybe a pair of shoes, a couple of pillows, maybe two mugs, a pair of candles, just two objects that to you seem somewhat similar. And focus on noticing the differences between those objects, the shape, maybe the height, the texture, the color, the small details, maybe even scent, whatever it is that you can notice. So for the first one, if you are opting to listen to music, just make sure that you're muted. Feel free to grab your phone or even play something out on your laptop and choose a song that maybe runs for, like maybe 2 to 5 minutes. And I'll prompt you when it's time to come back to the presentation for the next activity. And if you're going with option two, with the two objects, feel free to go and grab those objects now. And what I'll do is I'll check back in a few minutes, and I'll also practice myself. Okay. And if you're watching this with the recording, feel free to pause, run through this for maybe 2 or 3 minutes. You can set a timer and then come back once you're ready.